So hello everyone, I am Jen Cowden and you are in the virtual events and engagement training through United Way of Lower Mainland. I will be getting underway shortly. As a reminder, we are recording the event and I don't know that I can do the recording button. Roger, if you could start that, that'd be awesome.
Yep, we're currently recording.
Perfect. So before we begin, a note that we are recording, and by virtue of you guys participating, we are assuming everybody's okay with that. We're asking for people to have their microphones off again, cameras on. Please feel free to keep them on. I'm happy to see your smiling faces, but also understand that this is over lunch hour for many people, so you may be eating lunch. Please put your questions in the chat, but I will be asking at certain points if people have any questions, and Roger can unmute you at that point if you want to put up your hand and ask your question. And then please feel free to participate whenever you can and whenever you want. So once again, I'm Jen Cowden and with me is Roger Ling. He is my cohort here. We are workplace campaign managers for the United Way of Lower Mainland and the Fraser Valley. And we're looking forward to this year's workplace campaigns. Thanks again for coming out. Thanks for sticking with us so far, or thank you for joining us if you're new. We hope you've learned a few things so far over the past couple of days, and I hope that you guys learn a bit more today as well. Just to go over the agenda for the day, a couple of things that we'll be talking about: virtual events and engagement, impact speakers. We'll have a quick look at the virtual playbook that we'll distribute to everybody. Have a discussion about what your events will look like this year. Talk about volunteering, then we'll have a little bit of fun and hopefully have some time for some Q&A. We did book this session for an hour and a half, and I'll definitely stick within that time frame, but hopefully I'll be able to gift you guys with some time back. We shall see how it goes. I will try to talk fast, but not too fast so you can't understand me. So this year, United Way is focusing on offering both virtual and in-person experiences for workplaces to engage with, primarily in the following areas: speakers, volunteering, and facilitated activities such as virtual events. I asked myself, what is virtual engagement? And by now, at least all of us here have been involved in what may feel like a few thousand virtual meetings and can probably pretty easily answer the question. The virtual part's simple enough. The technical definition is that virtual meetings are real-time interactions that take place over the internet using integrated audio and video, chat tools, and application sharing. If you think back a couple of years even, FaceTime was probably one of the first mainstream examples we saw of one-on-one virtual chats, minus the tools and application sharing. Skype was popular, WhatsApp, the list goes on. These are all examples of video conferencing. Then a few months ago, we suddenly had a need for meetings where it was more than one-on-one and where we needed to be able to share visuals with more than one person. Enter your Zoom, your Teams, your WebEx, your GoToMeetings. Roger listed out quite a few of them yesterday and the day before. So Zoom has actually been around since 2013. My first time using it was in 2018, where we had to stream something live as a last-minute resort because weather was bad in the winter and people couldn't travel. So it was a nice-to-have option, but it certainly wasn't essential for us to have. Enter end of March 2020, and we find ourselves in a virtual world where a lot of people are using something like Teams or Zoom on an almost daily basis. So virtual engagement is the act of connecting with people during these real-time over the internet interactions and keeping the connection active via web conferencing. And we'll discuss a few other ways to engage your donors as well. So a virtual meeting is still a virtual event. Apparently, even a live stream feed of a static solo cup pyramid on TikTok is an event. But a fun and interactive event like the kind you want to have during campaign should have a whole lot more engagement. So now we are going to go over some tips for successful virtual events. Step one, create a game plan. It's more than just an agenda. You want to start with a goal and a concept or an idea. You need to figure out what kind of experience you'd like to create if the event is going to be live like we're doing now, or pre-recorded and shared later like we are also doing now. How do you want to share your content? Are you going to share your screen like I'm doing, or are you going to make it a webinar where people just attend and they don't even need to do anything else other than log in? You should discuss timing, when and how long. Will you need people to pre-register, again, like we did for today and yesterday? How you'll promote the event and what kind of platform you'll use. Number two, choose the best time. Think about what will work best for you and your coworkers. Make sure there are no competing events or holidays. Do you have employees who are engaging from different time zones? Think about that. Is a lunchtime event the most effective time to bring in as many people as possible, or should it be an after hours event? Tell everyone about the event. Make sure that you let your coworkers know that you're having the event so they know it's coming up and can plan to participate, whether it's live or be something people do on their own and submit later, kind of like the plank challenge that we did with our campaign. Figure out the key selling points of the event and use that to entice people to join in. Are you having contests? Are you creating a giveaway? That kind of thing. Share it on social media if it's appropriate. And if not all employees are in the office or working from a computer, how do you typically communicate with them? Use that way to communicate with them again. Prepare for tech troubles. Be sure you test your internet connection before your event. Roger and I spent several hours testing and retesting before we did all of these sessions, so to make sure that we kind of troubleshooted everything beforehand. And still we had a couple of issues, but the more you practice it, the more you'll come up with those and be able to sort of, I've forgotten the word. You'll avoid them, that's the word. You want to decide on how your event will be set up. Is it going to be a webinar, like I said, or with everybody on screen? Have backups of your visuals and presentations in case your originals go awry. Run a rehearsal, like I said. It's a great way to identify issues. Remember that not everyone who attends will be the most technically savvy people either, so be sure to provide easy to follow instructions. Sometimes you can provide an FAQ of the what, when, how, and why, and send that out to people beforehand. Make your event inclusive. Use clear language. Ensure presentations are easy to see. Are there any employees who are visually or hearing impaired? How can you connect with them and include them? Think about how you'll include any team members who may not be at a computer all day, like we've discussed as well. And then encourage engagement. Create opportunities that your coworkers can join in on. Make the events fun, simple, and easy to participate in. You could send a poll to everybody and see what kinds of events people would like to attend or be a part of. And then I will pause here for a moment and ask if anybody has any questions before we move on to the next section. Roger, I don't hear anybody, so I'm going to move on.
Yep, you're free to do so.
So as with any campaign, impact speakers are an integral part of it. This year, given the impact of COVID-19 in our region, we'll be sharing out stories of community impact and resiliency virtually. We have both pre-recorded and live impact speakers available for you. You'll be able to download more than 20 videos via the UWLM.ca website and share them out to your employees. Additionally, you'll be able to book live impact speakers to deliver virtual speaks to your workplace via the video conferencing platform of your choosing as well. The impact speakers, even in a virtual environment, are incredibly meaningful and impactful for donors. To remain a donor-centric organization, we want to ensure that you guys, our donors, can hear about your impact firsthand. So some of the kinds of questions to think about regarding impact speakers when you're choosing them: what kinds of themes are you interested in? Do you have focus areas that have changed in this new environment? Given the amount of impact speakers that we have access to, we should be able to highlight the area of focus in your work that you've been doing. Areas include how we've revamped our youth programs, how we're connecting with seniors during this unique time of self-isolation, how we're empowering community members to take on meaningful projects, and more. What opportunities, if any, are there for you to involve United Way speakers in virtual meetings at your workplace? Typically, impact speakers will join you at your campaign kickoff or wrap-up. We want to ensure this practice stays the same. It's a great addition to campaign. We're prepared to dial in virtually to attend all of your campaign events and have an impact speaker there to share their story in the process. Other questions: is there an opportunity to have a panel discussion to discuss United Way's work? If so, what issues is the audience most interested in learning about? Consider whether a live speaker or a video is the best to engage with your audience. Think about the audience size for your virtual events. For example, if your group has a large audience, perhaps a video would be a better fit. But if it's a small or more intimate group, maybe a live speaker would be a better way to engage them. Are there speaking opportunities for union membership or leadership? You could consider inviting a labor representative from the United Way Labor Cabinet or the Campaign Labor Associate to speak and to get your union involved in your campaign. And I have a few stories from myself that have really resonated with me. And these are ones that I've just learned over the past few months, just meeting with some of the community builders and hearing different stories. So I'm going to share those with you. Please bear with me. Sometimes I get a little bit emotional about them. So one of the first stories I heard about was a senior who's living alone, and they were taking isolation to heart at the beginning of COVID. They weren't leaving their house, not even to buy groceries. So a Hi Neighbor community builder dropped off one of their local love postcards at their house. They saw the card and they gave the community builder a call. And the community builder called them back to connect, but there was no answer. They thought that was kind of weird, so they actually went to their house to check up on them and could see them passed out on the floor through the window. So she called 911 and the senior was rushed to hospital. Today they're thriving and getting the support they need from the various community services. Another community builder was out working in community and was getting several requests for masks from people that she was meeting. She happened to mention this to her mom, who was handy with the sewing machine. And her mom applied for a local love grant and has now made over 500 masks that have been distributed to people in the community so they can feel safer when they do need to go out and about. And one of our community, Hi Neighbor community builders in Abbotsford, connected with a senior who is hearing impaired. This woman wasn't able to connect with anybody because she didn't have the means to text anyone. So when she received the postcard that the community builder dropped off, she was finally able to make a connection. She texted the community builder who liaised with her and the local Love Food Hub representative, and then she was able to access a food hamper. The same community builder has 2 teenage sons, and the 3 of them actually go out into the community as well and often help seniors with their yard work too. So it's just amazing to see the connections that people are making and the kinds of things that they're doing. We have so many of these amazing stories, and I am now going to share another one with you from a community builder working in Coquitlam, Vanessa Wodeski. So bear with me 1 second. Here we go.
Hi, my name's Vanessa. I'm a United Way community builder in the city of Coquitlam. And a few weeks ago, I received a message from a woman in the community asking for help. She told me how she moved here a few years back with her husband and their 2 children. They came to Canada for a better life, trying to get ahead. They were renting a basement suite. Her husband got a job and they were saving up in order to have a better life here. And then they had another child, and after their 3rd child, she experienced postpartum depression, which made it really difficult for her to manage their family. And then later on, COVID hit, and her husband lost his job, and so now they had even more stress. So she reached out to me asking for support. And thanks to United Way and its community partners, I was able to connect with local resources with White Spot to give her family hot meals and to connect with City Reach to give her family food hampers and groceries. And then a local love grant came through and we were able to build activity kits for her children. And so we gave all this to her and she was so grateful. And then she went on to write a letter, and she says in her letter, "Thank you, supporters and donors, for your loving generosity. Our whole family has so much gratitude for all the love that you're sending our way. Being new immigrants and now jobless, it's a real thing that brings heaviness to my heart. As a parent, to see the eyes of my kids worried when this whole COVID thing arose, we don't have family here to count on, but you guys gave us hope. You gave us hope that there is a rainbow after the rain, that the Lord is still sending angels in human form, and you are those angels." And then she goes on to say how she feels hopeful and that she wants to give back. She wants to help as well. And that's thanks to our donors and people who can support what we're doing in the community. We wouldn't be able to do this. We wouldn't be able to cause this ripple effect and to help a family pick themselves up and feel positive again. We wouldn't be able to do that without the support of our donors. So we ask you, please, if you can, to continue supporting our initiatives so that I can go out and I can help make a difference in the lives of the people in our community.
I love that story, and Vanessa is an amazing speaker, so that's just an example of the kind of speaks that you guys will have access to. going to go back into my presentation for you and discuss next the virtual playbook. And just a reminder that the link to that community builder speaking opportunity or video is going to be available on the website and will be included in the campaign toolkit as well. Virtual campaign playbook is the one that Roger talked about yesterday and the day before. So it's a guide that for everyone, for all the ECCs, that we're going to go over quickly here before we have a discussion about events, after which we'll break out into some groups and discuss the kinds of events that you can hold at your workplaces. We will send this out to you as a link in the playbook or in the toolkit, but I'll actually send a physical copy of it as well. Roger and I will send that out after the session is over. If you have any issues accessing it, just let us know, and our email addresses will be up again at the end of the presentation. So here is our virtual playbook. So some of the preliminary information for you guys to think about. This is some questions to help get you ready, and these can be things that you can discuss with your campaign manager if you haven't already. Basically, things like have a look at what's happening in your industry. What challenges or opportunities are you or your organization facing as a result of COVID or other factors? Have you talked internally about running a campaign this year? What funding from the campaign may be at risk? Consider any restriction in the ways people will be allowed to gather physically. What are your coworkers asking about? What are your thoughts or plans on the fall campaign period regarding giving and engagement? What are your priorities regarding social purpose? How are you connecting with your employees currently, internally, and externally about the charitable causes you support? And then, of course, what tools or technology is your organization approved to use to connect internally and externally? There's quite a bit more information in here, and Roger has gone over some of it already, but some of the main things to think about are the awareness of creating awareness for the campaign, your employee pledges, and then your special events and employee engagement. Roger's already gone over some of the team talk, so I'm not going to go over that again for you guys. Just basically giving you an idea of the different things that are in here. Employee pledging. We'll be talking about that shortly as well. Getting your union involved, some tips on that is in here as well. So if you have any, like I mentioned earlier, speaking opportunities for union membership or leadership, asking unions if they'd like to run union-specific special events that support the workplace campaign, letters or video of endorsement from the local level, and engaging the union in their preferred method of communication is important. Some of these things I'm actually going to go over shortly, so I'm going to get out of this one for you and go back into my other presentation, and we'll get going. So special events and contests. With people from working from home, this is a time when you might need some fun and interaction with your coworkers. So here are a few examples of some workplace events, and we'll discuss these in more detail after we come back from our breakout session as well. One option, auctions and raffles. Don't forget to get your gaming license. Games such as bingo, spelling bees, trivia, for example, Kahoot. Social media type campaigns. So for example, employees can get dressed up at home versus having casual days at the office and post pictures of themselves to create awareness about the campaign. Colleague challenges, similar to the push-up challenge or the plank challenge that we did with our internal campaign. You could have a do something good challenge where people tag their colleagues after they've done something, some volunteering, and challenge them to be up next. Planking challenge, like I mentioned, virtual walks or runs, and we'll talk about the climb up event in a little bit as well. Online galas, open mics, talent contests, dance parties, entertainment events. We can have entertainment provided by colleagues if they have a special talent. Online learning activities, cook like a chef, for example, flower decorating class, learn a new skill, make a cocktail or a mocktail. You could have professional bartenders or colleague bartenders. We could create a list of supplies for participants before you did something like that and see if they could even be delivered. Gift card survivor, choose a grocery store or an online food delivery service as the prize for the winner who's the last to remain on the island. Scavenger hunt, you could bring a phone and explore your neighborhood. Encourage your workplace to get outside or to stay inside, and you can play that game with your families or their roommates as well. Cooking challenge, what can your team cook with a mystery set of items? Can items be dropped off? Can you encourage your team to clear their cupboards? My daughter watches YouTube videos of professional chefs cooking whatever they can find in their cupboard and making fancy meals out of it. Although it seems that they have a lot more special ingredients than I ever do in my pantry, but there you go. Special events and contests are excellent for engagement and team spirit. They create a sense of belonging and they allow people to have fun. They do take time, resources, and energy, but can equal to 10 to 15% of your total revenues. Make sure that you don't risk fatigue for volunteers and donors. It can threaten payroll giving and should not replace your canvassing or the ask. A good way to avoid fatigue and to encourage payroll giving is by implementing a pledge passport. Employees can make pledges via payroll giving and access all the events that you run. This can eliminate that kind of nickel and diming feel that people sometimes have when you go to them with several asks in a row. If they prefer not to pledge, they would just pay individual entry fees to enter your events or contests. And now we are going to quickly go out into breakout. So a couple of things that I want you guys to think about while you're in your breakout sessions. For returning ECCs, what's a popular event that you held in previous campaigns, and how do you think you could adapt it this year to make it a virtual event? And then for everybody, what kinds of events have you come across that you think would work well for your workplace? So just the kind of things, these are the kind of a couple of questions to get you going with your discussions, and then Roger and I will pop in and chat with everybody as well.
And Jen, how much time are we allotting for these discussions?
We are going to allow 11 minutes at this point.
Nice. And I believe the expectation is, yeah, at the end of that time, we will reconvene, and we're hoping to hear from each group on some either stellar ideas or key sort of comments that come up. So yeah, please do keep track of sort of what comes up in your conversation, and be ready to share with the group, because sharing is caring. I see we have 31 participants, including Jen and myself. So might I suggest actually maybe 6 rooms, so we get about 5 participants each, and our own United Way staff members and campaign managers will be randomly assigned to those rooms as well as participants.
Yep, and that's what I'm going to do. Here I go. We'll see you guys in a few minutes.
Great. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Roger.
Hello. Excellent.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Great. Yeah, nice to have the smaller group format now, so we can sort of see each other and chat. But yeah, as Jen mentioned, here's an opportunity for us to bounce ideas off each other. Yeah, if there are, again, those events that you've seen run successfully in your workplace campaign before, we can, or I'd love to hear what those are, and we can talk about how those might run virtually, and then also just open to any other cool event ideas that you've come across, be it in the context of campaign or just everyday kind of life or social media. So please feel free to jump in.
I don't know about anyone else, but I probably did, I don't know, too many quiz nights over Zoom with family and friends. So I haven't done one as a fundraising thing, but I imagine that could work pretty well.
Yeah. The trivia nights or trivia sessions are great, and yeah, easy way for people to participate. Casual. Mix some alcohol in there, and you have yourself a good time, right? So.
Yeah.
So how just on the logistics side of that, how do you run that? Is there somebody, like, even this whole breakout room thing is brand new for me. I've never been in a Zoom breakout before, so that's kind of cool. But do you have like a host who asks the questions and then people raise hands, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we did it, just one person was asking the questions. Actually, we took it in turns, and like having a round each. So you would make your 10 questions, everybody's on mute, and you just ask the questions, and they just write it on a bit of paper, and then you go. It's all honesty, like you just read the answers afterwards, and people mark their own. You could also probably do it if you had a lot of people, is you could read out the 10 questions, sort of copy them into the chat so that everyone's got them, and then put people into teams, move them into breakouts like this. And then the team can be like, oh, what did you put for one? Oh, I put this. Oh yeah, let's put that.
So yeah.
The question, is that like more of an engagement event, or how would you incorporate, like, is that fundraising?
Yeah, I think you just have to ask for a fee for people to take part, like you would take part in any sort of pub quiz or something.
That right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll mention on the technical side, when it comes to the Zoom breakout rooms, such as the one we're sitting in virtually right now, there's an option to predetermine the breakout room. So you can set it up so that Zoom will direct people into specific rooms as you've planned, or you can just hit sort of the random button, and then Zoom will do its thing and put random people into the predetermined number of rooms. So we went with ladder today. So fate has brought the 5 of us into this room. But yeah, there is a way to exercise more control over it if you want to.
Oh, that's very interesting, yeah.
I also heard of another group that did a Family Feud activity. And I'm not quite sure how all the details happened, but I think they used breakout rooms. They got people in 2 breakout rooms and then back to the main room to answer the question at first. And then I think they brought everyone back then after that.
Oh,
So,
that's really interesting.
And I've also heard of some Jeopardy happening as well, but I think that that's an activity where everyone's in the main room and someone shared their screen and then went through a series of questions. And I know at my organization, we're doing that as in my department, just as a fun Friday activity in a couple weeks. So
that's great.
Yeah.
And so I realized I did give everyone a chance to just introduce ourselves and perhaps say which organization you're from, just so yeah, we can have a bit of context in terms of which campaign you're coming from. So apologies, that's very rude of me. But yeah, Laura, could we start with you and we get some introductions around the table?
Sure, yeah. So I'm a returning ECC, I guess. I've been part of the United Way campaign at Odlum Brown Limited, which is where I work, for the last, I guess the last 4 years, 3 of them being as co-chair. Family Feud, James, as you mentioned, that's one of our signature events, but an in-person Family Feud, and we've actually been able to incorporate other organizations within our buildings to compete, and so it kind of creates this nice little rivalry in the lobby, and it's just a lot of fun to do. So we're keenly interested in how to incorporate that particular event on a virtual platform. So I appreciate your comments on the breakout rooms. So that's me. I'm Auden Brown.
Great, thanks, Laura. James, can we move to you for a bit of introduction?
Yeah, my name is James. I am the campaign manager for UBC, which is a little bit different than a lot of the other organizations because it's super big and lots of different things happening. But this is my first year in the role, so I am learning very quickly remotely how everything has happened in the past and how it's going to be different this year.
Yeah, I think we're all in that book, in that same boat, trying to learn as quickly as we can to kind of build this plane as it flies, so to speak. So, yeah. Okay. I see Alex next. So.
Hi, yeah. So I work at Castles, and I run their events in the Vancouver office. So last year was the first year I'd helped out with the campaign, and there's a big group of us that sort of run it for the office, but I'm the person that knows most about event logistics and things. So that's where I help out.
And Nav?
Yeah, so I'm Nav. I'm working with SFU, also like James, new to this campaign, and new as an ECC. So looking forward to this.
That's great. Okay, thank you. But yeah, please let's resume our conversation. I think we were just scratching the surface in terms of ideas and events. So please continue.
So I know for SFU, for example, we have had like a big annual book sale and an annual bake sale, which were very successful and very popular among everyone, students, faculty, staff. So we're like, part of the discussions right now we're having is how do we keep that traditional fundraiser that we have had, that people are so fond of, but try to make that virtual. And it's really tough because in terms of like the book sale, for example, that would come from our library, and any books that would be like, you know, discarded or not, you know, donated. So, but it's like, how do you do people like, you know, go to pick up their book? Is it an online book? Is it, you know, or even a book sale? We used to display like these wonderful creations people had along our main hallway, like our main corridor. So we can all obviously do that online. I think the bake sale will be a little bit easier to transition online, but yeah, let me know if you have any ideas.
So at Odlum Brown, we did a year's worth of baking, which was amazing. So we've got a lot of great bakers in our office, and the winning bid, it's often competing bids, and so we end up duplicating or triplicating this offer where we've got 12 bakers who commit to doing one dish a month, and then it's sort of like a year-long treat. And what's really great about that is that it keeps the United Way sort of front of mind, because every month there's a new reminder about the United Way in this baking thing. And I suspect that might be hopefully a little bit easier to do in person as we work our way out of the pandemic, where you can actually deliver these baked goods like they would be delivered at work traditionally. And I think what we're going to do this year is just deliver them to the home of whoever is the winning bid. But that's something that you might consider, because it's been hugely successful for us, is this year-long bake package. I
love that subscription model to goods, so I can get my fat and sugar over the course of a year in terms of a one-time fix. I love that.
Yeah, it's been really good.
Would people be able to pick their baked goods like online usually? Or
that gets a little hard on our bakers. So what we've been able to do is
not that one.
Yeah, what we've been able to do is just say, you know, there's, for instance, one woman who's just renowned for her lemon squares. So we guarantee lemon squares, but each baker is sort of allowed to kind of do whatever it is that they want. And in many ways, our buyers have been open to that, because it's sort of a surprise each month.
And I know, Nav, in terms of the book sale, I'm part of like a couple of groups, like free groups on Facebook for like if you have items in your home that you want to get rid of, and it's sort of, people do like, they post it on Facebook, the picture of the item, and then you can either go to the first person or there's a draw. And I mean, something like that could possibly work for the book sale if you find the right platform where you post a picture of the book, and then maybe you get X amount of comments on there, and you can draw for the winner.
True.
Yeah, with things such as the book sale, or you know, if it's moving into the field of silent auctions, I know many accounts that have run very successful silent auctions. The more traditional format obviously was like in person, so they would have a meeting room, all the goods are in there, and like physical papers for people to write their bid on there. But I've also seen accounts move it to an online and virtual format, and those have also been equally successful, if anything more successful, because it's more easily accessible by people outside of the office, so they can enter their bids. And then of course you see like furious rounds of last minute bidding leading right up until the end of the auction. I will say I've heard good things about one particular site called 32 Auctions. I haven't used it myself, but I see a few nodding heads just right here in this room, and it seems that the accounts that have tried it have had good experiences with it. So I'm not sure about the free or paid sort of tier or membership for that particular service, but it seems to have worked out well for others.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's difficult because like even some of this, I mean, all the staff at the library, aside from maybe one or two, like everyone is working from home. So it's also organizing who would be able to access that space in a safe way and have some help and actually sift through all of these thousands.
It's a lot of work. Yeah, a lot of work.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Other cool ideas or be it tried and true events in your own campaigns that we can brainstorm on together?
Well, we're looking at this will be the first time that we do this, but it's a poker tournament. I'm told this sort of thing happens all the time and people play poker online, which I didn't realize. But so I can't say I know I have any great experience with it, but that's something that we're looking at. And the pot or the buy-in would be a donation to the United Way, because the platform itself is all play money. Which earlier you mentioned a license. I'm wondering if we need a license for such a thing, if it's already an established platform. I suppose that's a question I'll have to ask our particular special event organizer. But I'm wondering about registering for this kind of event, and you guys used Eventbrite for these setups. Can you tell me more about your experience with the Eventbrite and registration for that sort of thing?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, and just to touch on that note about licensing, yeah, I would encourage you to sort of look into that and do your due diligence. I've seen sort of poker nights and casino nights pop up here and there, and the onus or the way we approach it is we put the onus on the organization to, look into what required licensing is in place and to obtain those. At the same time, I don't think we're recording this particular breakout room in video, so whatever. In my mind, this conversation could never happen, and you can proceed as you need to make it happen. But with that said, yeah, Eventbrite is a great way to get the sort of RSVPs and registrations in place. Very user friendly. In my case, and I think in most cases, you can pay to unlock an additional level of functionality, right? In terms of marketing and targeting attendees. But even with the free account, which is the one I used, you're fully able to set up your event. You can create categories of tickets, be it paid or unpaid, and you can many ways to set it up to also communicate and to contact your attendees as well. So I highly recommend Eventbrite.
That's the one you'd recommend. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Great. Yeah, and I think as I shared in session 2, like for us in our internal campaign, we had our planking challenge, which was an easy one to pull off. We did run our wine/grocery survivor, which went over very well and has always been a favorite as well. So we had good success with that, and if that's something you want to consider implementing in your campaigns, we can.
How did you do the draws for the wine survivor?
Yeah, that one we tasked sort of our event lead, and in this case it was actually Jen Cowden, who was overseeing that event, and she sort of electronically put all the names in a hat, so to speak, so a spreadsheet with all the names, and then just had a sort of random number generator pull out the random names each day, and then those were announced on our team's channel. So a lot of people tuning in to that announcement at the end of each day of who was being voted off the island. A lot of a lot of people being very disappointed and also buying back in to the competition as well. So that was fun to see.
So you allowed buybacks?
We did, yeah. That's so each buyback was, I think, $10, so an additional $10 to buy back in, and it would grant you another 3 sort of entries, or you can, your name would be entered back into the island 3 times. So.
Great.
Yeah. In the heat of the moment, people want to buy back in. there's a lot at stake, so it's a nice way to bump up the special events revenue. We were at a bit of a crossroads. We're like, with our virtual campaign this year, with it being so different, like, should we even push the virtual event fundraising? Should we just keep virtual events to focus on awareness and fun and not necessarily raise dollars? But we felt it was important for us to at least experiment with the raising of dollars through special events, so that we can have results to share with the group. And I'll say, our experience with that particular event went over very well.
Great. Yeah, I heard it was quite successful.
Yes. Ironically, Jen Cowden's mom won the Survivor, so she's sitting on a good amount of booze, heading into the fall and winter season.
Good for her.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to check in with Jen Cowden on time. I suspect we're getting there. Any other like even questions or curiosities people might have?
Well, I think you kind of hit on sort of the one thing that's going through the big question is how are we going to define this year what the like fundraising events, like is it better to just focus on those awareness events online, like what big of a role are the fundraising events versus awareness events going to take place? And I especially right now for me, we're still working out exactly how things are going to look for the fall, so it's still top of mind, but it's the big question mark for me.
Yeah, I hear you, absolutely. And I think what you're touching on, like, what will that ratio be, right, for this year's campaign? Because most campaigns probably have some sort of mix between awareness events versus money-making events, or somewhere in between. But yeah, we don't know. We can't really prescribe that ideal or optimal ratio for this year. What I will say is, we know that some campaigns, Nav was mentioned as an example, like there's some campaigns that do rely on traditional sort of tried and true money-making, in-person fundraising events, right? I think of Langara College, and they have a lost and found sale. So basically each year they clear out all the things that students left behind in classrooms and in the cafeteria, and people come and buy those. Surprising amount of Apple earbuds being left behind. But point being, that's probably going to be a no-go this year. What I might suggest is, if for you, as you work through it, if you find that the ratio is leaning more towards the awareness and engagement events, that's not a problem. That's totally understandable given this year's circumstances. But maybe think about how we can still encourage giving. So one example would be like a pledge passport, perhaps. So to say, hey, instead of charging you a cost to participate in an event for each event separately, we can say, look, make your pledge, make it early, either by a certain date or increase it by a certain amount, whatever, and then you'll have access to all of the events without having to pay each time. So in that way, at least you're getting people thinking and considering giving, although it may not be at the actual event itself. Okay, so I see the countdown has begun for us. We're going to be booted out of this room in about 15 seconds or so. But yeah, as we enter back the large room, please, do share what we talked about here. I think there's some great ideas that came up, and yeah, I look forward to seeing what the larger group came up with as well. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Brown and sticky.
We're back.
I'm bad at those.
What's brown and sticky?
What's brown and sticky? No idea.
A stick.
A stick. Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
I'll give you 3 guesses whose original joke that was.
Chris Gibson.
That would be our fearless leader and director for everyone else in the room.
Oh,
Who is
he's a bad joke.
really
A bad joke teller.
Yep.
A dad joke teller. So yeah, synonymous with bad joke tellers.
Yeah.
Sounds
So
like
we're not allowed to show him this recording.
Oh, he knows. Don't worry. We'll definitely show him this recording.
Awesome. So welcome back, everybody. I hope you guys popped into most of the rooms and everybody was madly discussing things. So I hope you guys had some good discussions. And I just want to put it out there. What kind of events did you guys come up with? I heard a couple of really good ideas. I know Louisa had one that maybe she would like to share. But Louisa, if you're not feeling comfortable, then I can maybe share it. But feel free to go ahead. And then I also want to ask what you guys are feeling about virtual events as a whole, and then if you had any specific questions about virtual events as well. So Louisa, I see you're off mute. If you want to go ahead, that'd be awesome.
You're talking about the tiered process?
Yeah.
Okay, so at ICBC, what we're trying out this year is a tiered process for giving, for pledging, and we're going to be putting some prizing towards that. We talked a little bit about prizing as well, and at ICBC, we've done online silent auctions in the past, especially last year was very successful, but this year is a tough year because we know that there's a lot of companies and vendors out there that have not done well during COVID. So we're putting some feelers out to some companies that we know have done well and been successful, and we're asking for some pricing or some donations we can use for pricing. So at ICBC, we've developed a tiered process for giving. We do payroll deductions, many different ways of giving through ePledge and our internal pledge system through SAP. And if people go online and pledge, we've got different levels, and we'll have different pricing at the different levels. So if you donate $1 per pay, that works out to $26 over the course of the year. $25, as most of you know, qualifies for a tax receipt, so that's enticing for folks. And if they do that at that level, there'll be a list of pricing that they can get in for. Our next level is the $2 per pay, works out to $52. A $5 per pay is $130. And at ICBC, our leader donors are 500 and above, so we have a $520 level. It's $20 per pay. And on top of that, so if you get in, say, at your $130 level, you'll be in for those pricing, but as well as all the other pricing with the tiers below them. So they'll be in for all of those pricing as well. And we are introducing an early bird prize. So we're going to start early, ask people to go online. At this early bird, we're asking for any donation. Communicating out that we have this tiered during the actual 2-week campaign, tiered process. And if they fall into one of those, they'll be in for those prizes as well. So we hope it's a really great way to get people to pledge online and be in for some great prizes.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Louisa.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else have anything they would like to share?
And might I ask, we use the hands up, the digital hands up option here. So if you click into participants and put your hand up, we'll be able to unmute you. But at this time, I see Laura has her hand up, so I will lower your hand. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks. So like Louisa, we do an early bird at Odlum Brown which has been really successful, but that incentive prize usually comes from an outside prize donor, like a local restaurant or some other business in the area. And like you said, they're experiencing some hard times, and it's hard to go back to them and ask for a donation. What we're doing instead, and this might be helpful for you, Louisa, is that we're canvassing sort of the talents that we have within the organization. Like we have a number of musicians, and so we're looking at them to maybe, teach you how to play guitar, or, spend an afternoon on so-and-so's boat, so we're trying to get a little bit more personal with some of those incentive prizes, which I think is going to hopefully work out really well.
That's awesome to hear. And that's a great way to engage other people as well and to get them involved in it. So that's really cool. Thanks, Laura. Anybody else have anything else they'd like to share? Michelle, did you guys have some good discussions in your room?
We did. We actually talked a lot about, in a little bit more detail about what Roger had highlighted yesterday in United Way's own internal campaign. So we talked a little bit about how Wine Survivor could work in a virtual world. And instead of seeing this fantastic pile of bottles of wine, which is very enticing, instead, you're putting money into a pot for a gift card at the end, which actually seemed to be even more effective this year. And we talked about ways to keep folks engaged throughout the entire campaign through workplace chatter in a virtual format and in a chat tool or things like that. For us, we use Microsoft Teams just to keep the buzz going so that people don't let the campaign fall off their radar as they're as the campaign goes on.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. And Andrew, how about you guys?
Yeah, so I joined just late, but and so Colleen, Eric, or Jared, let me know if I miss anything that was said before I hopped on there. But one thing that we were talking about were different events where there could be a donation attached to it. So we talked a little bit about Wine Survivor. We also talked about the possibility of a 50-50. Obviously 50-50 is really low barrier for people. It's an easy way to engage people who may not engage in many other ways with campaign, just because it's here's a quick $20 and hopefully you pick my name kind of thing. Logistically, that would have to be virtual this year. So, similar to Wine Survivor, could you steward those buy-ins through e-transfer, or You would just have to, think of, on the virtual side, how to properly steward those dollars in a way that, meets your internal requirements, for liability and stuff like that. But, we were able to do it for our internal United Way campaign. It sounds harder than it is. Actually, Jen was the one who was the keeper of the buy-ins for our wine survivors, so she could speak better to that. What we also talked about, and I actually just hopped off a call with one of my workplace accounts, and they came up with an idea. For those of you who are familiar with the TV show Chopped, having your campaign committee or whoever, go out and buy 3 baskets of all the same ingredients that are mystery ingredients, and you drop it off at, say, 3 your executives, you drop it off at their houses, and they have to prepare a meal using only these ingredients, and then they have to post a video or post a photo or something like that, and then people vote on it. Winner gets a prize or something like that you could do. It's familiar to people because I know a lot of people know the show. And it's kind of a fun way to engage people in a really personalized way. Obviously you could be an amazing accountant, but a really crappy chef. So it could be a unique way to see what people's skill sets are in the kitchen and, how creative you can get with certain ingredients.
I agree. Using things like that, like I mentioned, my daughter watches those YouTube videos of people just finding things in their pantry and making meals out of them, or they take something as simple as craft dinner and they make it into a fancy craft or macaroni cheese balls instead of just your regular craft dinner. Like there's different things you can do, and if you can challenge people to do those things, it can just make people feel more engaged for sure.
Totally. There was also the conversation around, and this has actually been done before, a $10 food challenge. So anyone can participate. Oh, sorry, the dog's going crazy. Just one second, I'm gonna turn off my video. So a $10 food challenge where people are on a $10 food challenge, and they have to go out and they can buy whatever they want. Sorry, trying to let the dog out. And so they everyone, they can create whatever. You can't just buy craft dinner and Mr. Noodles. You have to have your protein and your grains and your produce or whatever. And then you all post a photo, and there could be categories like most creative, best value for your money, hard to judge flavor, but you could do something like that too. So just
awesome.
Anyway, that's my long-winded version. Sorry, guys.
We're getting close to the 1 hour mark, and I was trying to keep it at an hour and 15, but does anybody have anything else they want to ask about or mention? Jared, did you want to say anything? I noticed you popped up on screen.
Oh, yeah, just a couple other things that came up, I think, before Andrew jumped on. Eric had mentioned that his workplace did virtual hangman on a whiteboard and battleship, and was looking into doing something with maybe getting a Wii system and having like a boxing tournament, so when people came in, they could, do those types of events.
Awesome.
And Colleen mentioned that they do Treat Tuesdays, which sounded really cool. So like people will do like a demo of like Dalgona coffee or that kind of thing. So yeah, we did have a question that kind of arose though, because a lot of workplaces have already pivoted to doing a lot of things virtually and have found that engagement has dropped off. So I wondered if other people have experienced that. We talked a little bit about it, about trying to find things that people are passionate about internally, but as Andrew just demonstrated, sometimes the dog barks or the kids are coming in. So like, it's not like, oh, we're all at the all staff. It might be 20 out of 100 that are at the all staff, virtual meeting.
Yeah, for sure. And I think if anybody else wants to answer to that, then please feel free to raise your hand and we can let you chat for sure. I know for myself, I found that I needed to take a break from the personal side of things when I was doing virtual chats with my friends and what have you, because I was just getting zoomed out. I was on Zoom all day at work, and I just did not want to be on Zoom at all with my friends. I resorted to phone calls because I was able to do just standard phone calls with people. That worked well for me to make some more connections that way. But I do think that there is definitely the risk of that, and the more interesting and the more sort of collaborative efforts you have, if people are involved in creating those events, I think that does sometimes help when somebody has a vested interest in it, for example. And if you can create some buzz about it, then that is definitely helpful. But it is for sure an issue that can come up.
And I might
Awesome.
add,
Mhm.
sorry, I might add in that area, yeah, sort of as I touched on in session 2, is just to diversify your options for engagement, virtual engagement specifically. So certainly the live meetings where real-time attendance is required. Those are important and get people in the virtual room, so to speak, and engaged. But to also make sure that there are ways for people to engage in their own time and at their own pace as well. So for us, we had our Teams channels, we had the challenges posted there so that people weren't necessarily restricted to like our schedule, that you had to be in front of your computer at a certain time to do something. They could participate, they can still post messages, they can react, they can post like emoticons or GIFs for a humorous effect at their own pace and at their own time. And again, that just contributes to a longer and a more general kind of buzz and excitement around the campaign.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that for a lot of people, that's their intranet. A lot of companies have intranets, and it's just their internal web that they can use. So that's definitely something that can be done for that. I'm just going to start. Yep.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, I don't want to open a whole other can of worms, but just one thing I did hear from my group is for many campaigns, there are some pretty crucial special events around the sale or auction of actual items. So it might be a book sale, it might be a bake sale. Langara has a lost and found sale, for example, and those are actually big revenue generators for those campaigns. So just curious to know if others are facing similar challenges, like, are we even going to be able to run that event this time around, or how they are going to tweak something like that for this year? And
it came up a couple of times in the meetings that I was in as well, but at the end of the day, that kind of thing wasn't something people really wanted to consider, because they didn't want to be sharing food, for example. It's fine if you have one person who's picking items out at a grocery store and being sort of COVID aware of it, and then only one person delivering it, and you can minimize your interaction and what have you. But and you could always do a bake sale online as long as people were being aware of how they were cooking things, that kind of thing. But I don't think a lot of people are going to want to do it, to be honest. Is my feeling. But if anybody has any ideas, then I am open to hearing them. Just as an FYI as well, all the events that I mentioned before, and the ones that a lot of the ones you guys have talked about, we do have some rules and sort of ways to make these events happen that we'll share out with you guys as well. So that information will come to you too. I'm just going to quickly go through a couple more things for you on more employee engagement opportunities. So one of them, a big one, is, I forgot to do that, is employee volunteering. So the employee volunteering is a huge part of it. Sometimes it's the feeling of helping people firsthand is an incredibly meaningful experience. And this year more than ever, it will maybe even bring more impact to people and be more meaningful. So with the help of our community partners, we have the ability to invite our corporate partners to volunteer while still adhering to public health measures and maintaining physical distancing. Groups who volunteer will be no larger than 3 to 5 people in size to ensure a safe space for everyone. There will also be 2 types of volunteer opportunities. We have in-person and virtual. So in-person volunteer opportunities will take place at a variety of locations, all likely focusing on food insecurity in the Lower Mainland and Fraser Valley. Opportunities include prepping food hampers, sorting food, delivering food hampers. We'll have standardized times and locations, which we can offer exclusively to our partners should they wish to volunteer in a group setting. Campaign managers and campaign associates will also be present at the location where employees are volunteering. They'll greet you and ensure you have all the personal protection equipment, supplies you need, and of course you'll have a photo opportunity if you like. For virtual opportunities, really the sky is the limit here. Research has shown that some acts of local love that are most effective are things like calling a senior, writing a letter to a community member and mailing it, preparing kits for youth, so activity kits, movie kits for kids or youth and families, and having them delivered to an agency where they can share them out to people, or another nonprofit organization or a community-based organization. So these are just a few of the ways. This is a sample of a volunteer opportunity on ivolunteer.ca that's for an individual. So not only can we do the group ones, but you can also just share the website with people and they can do individual volunteer opportunities, which can be tracked on the Salesforce Philanthropy Cloud, or you guys can keep track of it on your own if you like. But this is somebody who just wants to keep connected to somebody. And so she's experienced a little bit of loneliness and needs somebody to talk to. And that's a volunteer opportunity. They have set shifts and you can do that from the comfort of your own home as well. You don't need to actually go to any place to do that. You can just do it from home. So your campaign manager can help you set up those group opportunities, like I said. Our traditional day of caring has been replaced with these group corporate opportunities, and we do look forward to sharing them with you guys. So if you have any questions about that, please let us know. Just a quick note as well that for some opportunities, if you're working with people who are vulnerable or the vulnerable population, so that could be youth or seniors where you have access to their home information or their phone number, that kind of thing, that a online criminal record check is needed. It's done free of charge through the ivolunteer.ca website. It takes a couple of days, so keep that in mind. It needs to be done before you actually get to volunteer, but it is all done through there. They ask a few questions. It kind of looks like a credit check, but it is not at all. It does not affect your credit score or anything like that. And again, it is free for through our website. So we also do some virtual tours and we can share it with you and your employees as an engagement piece. They're short, usually fun in nature videos that highlight the work that we're doing in community in a unique way. So these videos are kind of filmed, they're filmed by our campaign managers and campaign associates, and they're edited at home indie style. If you want to have one of your employees or your executives film one of these videos, campaign managers and associates can help you get that done as well. It can ensure that you have a focus on which pieces of the video tour you want to engage with your employees. And we recommend filming them 2 to 3 weeks in advance of campaigns so that they're ready to share out during campaign week. They're not meant to replace your virtual impact speakers, but just provide more context to the work being done in community during what is really a unique and critical time. A couple of things to consider. Is there an opportunity for you to incorporate a learning opportunity like a virtual tour? And are there any geographical areas or issues that you think employees would be interested in exploring? And so I do have a quick video that I can share with you guys. I'm going to not show you the whole thing, but I will for sure share it. This is by our very own Andrew.
Maybe you need to raise the volume. I cannot hear the video.
Jen, did we make sure to check the include system audio box?
I did, but I will redo it.
Great.
I love technology.
Hello, I'm Matthew Campbell from the Cloverdale Community Kitchen, and we are excited to be a United Way food hub and all the great things that are happening here. Thank you, United Way.
All right, so let's go see where all this happens. So Matt, this is where, explain to me what's going on in here.
So this is where all the food donations come, and because of COVID-19, we've spread it out so we can have tons of volunteers come and be socially distanced and sort out all the food, get it all ready, and then this is where we pack all of our hampers to go out and where we serve out of our food bank.
Amazing. It looks like a big Costco warehouse in here.
Exactly. It's pretty exciting here. So with all this space here, all the food comes in. Sometimes when we have food drives, it's ketchup and cereal all in the same boxes. So we have volunteers that come in, they sort out that, and ketchup all goes in one area, cereal in another area, pickles, soup, all in different areas. So that then when we make these food boxes and these hampers, it's pretty easy. We have a list, you go around and it's like ketchup, mustard, soup, cereal, all gets put into the box, gets sealed up, gets put here, and then we deliver it.
It's all my favorite food in one place. And so what do we got down here?
And so down here, we're excited to have a couple of hampers that'll be going out this morning. Almost every day right now, we're getting hamper orders, and then United Way volunteers come pick them up and deliver them to those in need in the area. Here, this big pallet here.
Sweet. Big. Oh, we got chocolate bars, granola bars, my personal favorite, goldfish.
Sometimes we get so excited because a company will call us up and say that they have skid loads of food to distribute, and look at that, whole bunch of cereal, more cereal, and a whole bunch of gummy snacks. These gummy snacks are awesome because as we give them out, kids going to school, kids love these gummy snacks, and we got probably about 25,000 packs of gummy snacks sitting right here.
Love it.
So that just gives you an idea of the of what you can see at a local Love Food Hub. If you hadn't caught it, that was the Cloverdale Community Kitchen. And Matt is the one who runs that facility, and that's the local Love Food Hub in the Cloverdale area. We have food hubs all over the Lower Mainland and the Fraser Valley. So again, those are opportunities that are available to you guys. Climb Up is another excellent way to engage your employees. This is something that they can do on their own, or you can create a team for it. It's a team or individual activity promoting friendly competition, fun, outdoor activity, and then fundraising, all for the benefit of our communities. You get outside and explore the trails between September 23rd and October 3rd. You only need to reach 2,830 steps a day for a total of 28,300 steps over 10 days to fulfill the challenge. You can hike, walk, or run across the beautiful region. A fun fact that 28,300 steps is approximately equal to a half marathon, so feel free to tell your friends you did a half marathon. They do not need to know that it was over 10 days. To sign up, you can go to the United Way website /climb up. Everybody just needs to raise a minimum of $100 to participate. You can challenge your colleagues and friends, get up and explore the beautiful province, and we'll be sending fundraising tips and trail suggestions along the way to keep you moving and inspired. The funds will go to supporting and developing programs that serve the immediate needs of the vulnerable kids, families, and seniors, as well as provide continued support to those most impacted by COVID-19 and making our community stronger. Now, I do have something for you guys here. We'll have a little bit of fun, and I'm going to invite the people that are on the call to join in on a game of Kahoot. So if you guys haven't done Kahoot before, and it is if you go to kahoot.it, I will quickly share this with you guys, and then you can put in the pin on there. You don't need to have the app to do it. You can just go to the website on your phone or your laptop, and then we can play a quick game of to show an example of the kind of trivia games that you guys can run with your teammates. It makes it quite simple. That is the pin that you can enter, 658373.
I want to turn the volume down, it's quite loud.
Oh, no, this is my jam right here. Louder.
Is that better, Michelle?
I would turn it all the way down. Okay.
It's my jam too, Roger. I'm gonna give another 30 seconds for people to join, and then we'll start the game.
Where do we enter these numbers?
If you go to kahoot.it, it'll pop up with a pin. I say game pin, please enter your game pin here. And And that number, 658-373, is what you enter on your screen. Were you able to access it, Gigi?
I accessed the website, but I don't know where to enter the number.
Should have a bar that says pin on it.
Make sure, Gigi, you're on kahoot.it and not kahoot.com.
No, it's
what I was gonna
.it. Yeah.
For those who haven't played, you just need to click on the corresponding icon. That took me a while to figure out.
It's still rather loud.
Can't find the volume anymore, Michelle. Oh, found it.
Thank you.
Hint, there's no wrong answer.
I mean, no one loves the WebEx.
And you get extra points for being the fastest one to answer the question.
You do.
If you're wondering how, oh, Colleen just got up to the top.
Ooh.
Colleen's in it to win it.
Ooh, James snuck ahead.
Taking the lead. Well done, Laura. James in second place. And who was it? Philip. Overcome. Way to go, Philip. The correct answer was climb up for the last one. Colleen, you were almost on the podium. Well done.
Congratulations on the bragging rights.
And now we have some time for some Q&A if anybody has any other questions. I know that there was something that popped up in the chat there. Roger, I don't know if you had a chance to answer that or if you want me to answer it now.
Yeah, I've been able to address most questions that have come up in the chat.
Okay.
One was yeah, just towards the climb up funds and if that will be attributed back to the workplace organization that employees are registering from. And yeah, yes, we have confirmed that is the case. So the funds being raised by individuals or teams will be attributed back to that workplace campaign as part of their special events revenue. And then other questions just had to do with when the impact speaker videos are being finalized. We are working with our Marcom team to get those ready. Last I checked, we were told certainly by the end of August, in time for the September campaign start for many people. And then just technical issues with Kahoot, which were resolved after the game was finished. So,
oh, sorry.
Not at all.
And there you go. Does anybody else have any other questions?
In the beginning of this, you guys talked about having a panel of speakers for your kickoff. Was there, like, did I hear that wrong? Or normally we would have a guest speaker, but this year, and plus the videos, right? So what would you envision being on a panel?
It would depend on what you wanted to talk about. So if you wanted to talk about the community, the High Neighbor Community Builder Program, for example, you could have a panel including some people from United Way, maybe a community builder themselves, and or other people in United Way who are familiar with the program, and just talking about it and how the dollars that are donated, how they are shared out, and where that money goes to, and what kind of programs it supports. So it could be anything that you guys want it to be about the work that United Way does. It was just an option that we thought would appeal to some people, and you could get more people on that panel versus just having one impact speaker, for example.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and I might add on that note that I'm aware some organizations don't run strictly just the United Way campaign. So it might be an employee giving campaign that actually encourages charitable giving to any registered Canadian charity. And in some of those organizations I've seen in the past, they might do like a charity fair where they would book out a room and have various organizations, nonprofit organizations, attend and represent by setting up a booth. So certainly, something to that effect could be recreated virtually. On our end, as Jen covered, we can provide a community builder or someone in a similar role who can speak to our work, and then other members of the panel could be made up of other representatives from other charities, if that's something that you want to see happen in your campaign. So
nice. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Well, thank you very much for joining us, you guys. I hope that we have answered some of your questions that you do have or you did have. If you have any more, please feel free to reach out to myself or Roger. There's our email addresses on screen there. Like I said before, we'll send out the information that we promised. So the virtual playbook, the information about the rules and regulations, and then the toolkit, once it's finalized, we'll send that link out as well so that you guys have access to all the various things that you'll need to run a fun and successful campaign.